Hello, welcome back to another 10th House Brand video. My name is Gabrielle, and today we are going to be talking about Real Housewives of Potomac, season premiere, season 5, episode 1. So, season 5 starts out with a flash forward to after the fight between Candace and Monique that we know happens. It shows Karen, Giselle, Monique, and Robin discussing the fight. Basically, Karen's telling Monique to address it. Giselle is saying how Monique brought the group down by fighting, and Monique is crying and basically saying like, well, maybe I don't need to be a part of this group anymore. So then they flash back several weeks prior to the fight, and they show Monique with her family. And of course, Monique had a baby a few months ago, and it looks like she also has a new pet, which is a bird, which, I mean, to each their own. Okay, good for her. If it's a stress reliever, then fine. So, speaking astrologically, Monique is a Libra sun and a Libra moon, meaning that she has a certain influence over people that comes naturally to her. She's able to sway them to do basically what she wants them to do effortlessly, pretty much. And this makes me think back to when Charisse was basically saying that she felt like Monique was using her or taking advantage of her. And it can be conscious or it can be unconscious, but I can definitely see with Monique's sun and moon placement how she may have felt that way, because she's able to do this effortlessly. So I mean, who knows, she could be consciously doing it, but it could also be just like a natural thing, like that's how she comes off to people. But she was definitely probably very easily able to persuade Charisse to do what she wanted her to do. Now, then they show Monique going to Karen's new Potomac house. As we know, Karen started off in Potomac. She was the grande dame of Potomac in the first couple of seasons. Then her and Ray, her husband, packed up suddenly and moved to Great Falls, Virginia. And it was a whole controversy with the group about that because nobody knew why Karen moved. Karen didn't share why she moved. She's very secretive in that way. So she doesn't want you to know something. You're just not going to know it. So they kind of like made up their own excuse as to why Karen moved. The group made up their own excuse as to why Karen moved. And they said it was her finances and this and that because Ray was having tax trouble. So now she's back after all of that in Potomac, Maryland, in a new house right down the street from Monique in a very rich neighborhood, as we know. I think Monique said her neighbors are the Marriotts, but I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, Karen, getting back to Karen, she's a Taurus sun, Virgo moon. This means she's someone who's very down to earth, with the double earth elements, her sun and moon in earth signs. She's very smart and realistic and logical and very charming. She's able to charm somebody easily. I can kind of see that with her husband because it's like she caters to him in a way, which doesn't surprise me with a Taurus sun. And by caters, I mean like verbally. Like she knows how to make a man feel good, I bet. Anyway, so she's somewhat of a control freak and she can be very demanding, as we've seen as well. Now, during the episode, Karen reveals to Monique that her and Ray are having marriage problems. Now, this tells me, because she revealed this, because like I mentioned earlier, Karen is so secretive, so if she doesn't want you to know, you're not going to know. So the fact that she's revealing this tells me this is probably pretty bad. Because she's saying that, I don't know, she's admitting to it. Like, I feel like Karen doesn't admit to anything. So it says a lot. Now, another thing with her sun and moon, she's very methodical. So if she does something, there's a reason behind it. So just keep that in mind as the season goes on. Karen also discussed like the challenges of being married to someone who's older. And like a YouTuber Funky Geneva says, like you're going to pay on the front end or the back end. So it's cool when, like she said, she's 30 and her husband's 50. Like, that's fine. But when they get older, like now she's in her 50s and her husband's in his 70s, like they want two different things. So she's paying on the back end, which that just popped into my head when I listened to her saying that. So then we move on to Giselle and her new house, which is very interesting. She has an interesting style. I'm not going to call it ugly. I'll just say it's interesting. So they show her getting unpacked in the new house with her kids. And as we know, Giselle is back with her ex-husband, Jamal Bryant, who is a pastor. He was a pastor in Baltimore, and now I believe he's in Atlanta at a new church. He cheated on her while he was a pastor. While he was a pastor in Baltimore, And I think it was with a congregation member. Yeah, it was with a congregation member, and I think he got that congregation member pregnant allegedly. Now that's just the story I heard. Obviously, I don't know any of that for a fact, but allegedly. Now they're back together. Her daughters aren't really here for it, and honestly, I don't think anybody in their right mind is here for it. It's understandable because if somebody shows you who they are once, I feel like a tiger does not change their stripes. A cheater is always a cheater, and especially if they took it that far and they were that bold the first time, like, you would have to be a fool to give them a second chance. But, I just think when I think about Giselle, I feel like she has a habit of picking the wrong men because she was dating that other guy. I don't even remember his name at this point, but he just seemed like a terrible choice as well. So I just think she has a habit of picking the wrong men. Now, Giselle is a Virgo Sun Sagittarius Moon, meaning she's very rebellious, as we can tell, persuasive, loyal, and of course entertaining. So there's apparently a lot of different sides to her personality, and she's very sarcastic, and with the Sagittarius moon, she can say things that are very blunt and can hurt people's feelings, and I don't even think she realizes it, which you can kind of see on the show. Like, she doesn't even realize how rude some of the stuff she's saying is. So she really can't help it. It's who she is. As far as her dating her ex, with the Sagittarius moon, I feel like she has to follow her heart and her passion. She can't even really help it. Like, she probably gives in a lot to her Sagittarius moon and follows her intuition a lot, which is difficult with a Virgo sun. She probably hates the fact that she does that because a Virgo sun wants to plan and they want to be organized and have things sorted out. But a Sagittarius moon, like, they just want to jump when their spirit tells them, like, they just want to go. So her sun and moon are kind of like not in agreement at all. So anyway, next we get to Candace, who at this point has been married for a year and she's planning an anniversary party, which I really like Candace. I do. I feel like, for better or worse, she's herself and she's genuine. And I like her husband as well for her. I feel like he kind of balances her out nicely. So while they're planning, the party planner announces that the food and the bar fees are going to come to $20,000 if they don't get a cash bar, which, I mean, it's just crazy to me. Like, for what? I guess if you're on TV, there's a lot of pressure to have, like, nice events, but you could have had a very nice party elsewhere and probably got it catered with alcohol, and it wouldn't have come to $20,000. Like, that's just crazy to me. But I know how expensive DC is, so I get it. I mean, I get it. It's still outrageous, though. So, get into Candace astrologically. She's a Sagittarius Sun, Gemini Moon. Now, that in itself makes her a lot to handle, as we can tell on TV. She's somewhat unpredictable, and she has changeable emotions. And she also has an emotional need with a Gemini Moon to talk all the time. And she does just that. And she requires a lot of intellectual stimulation, which is good. I mean, who doesn't like somebody smart? But anyway, people with Moon and Gemini, getting to her relationship with her mother, because that has come up so much on the show and it's been very important to her storyline on past seasons and probably will be on this season too, as they've already showed, flashbacks with her mother. People with Moon and Gemini are sometimes born to mothers who are emotionally unavailable or who are just too intellectual, or a mixture of both, which I could see her mother being that way from what we've seen on the show. And it makes it challenging for them to connect to the child in their early years. So it's possible, basically, in layman's terms, that Candace didn't feel enough love from her mother growing up, which is like, okay, we could astrologically, this just confirms everything that we've seen on the show. Like, it's just, okay, we know why now. It makes perfect sense. So yeah, like I said, that explains everything that's happening with her and her mother in this season and in past seasons. But I'm happy to see that she's no longer accepting financial help from her mother, because I feel like when someone gives you money, they have a certain amount of control over you, and I could tell her mother just loved that. And she used it as a tool to disrespect her and also, like, talk about her to her other castmates, which, why would your mother ever want to do that? I can see how hurtful, or I can think about how hurtful that would be. But I'm just happy she's gaining her independence. I always think independence for a woman is the best way to go. So, good for her. Then we move on to Ashley. Ashley just had a baby, which congratulations to her. But Ashley confuses me so much on this show. The whole display last year with her and Michael and them just like the way that they treated the cast for expressing their opinion about the situation, just like they were nothing and who are you to have an opinion and what you're saying is not true and whatever. Like that pissed me off because I mean asking somebody to go against their common sense just because of their relationship with you, it's a type of blind loyalty that I'm unable to have. You're just asking everybody to play stupid and insulting them in the process, as well as the public, the people watching the show. So that confused me. But then whenever things get too complex, I always think back to like a simple solution. So Ashley admittedly, by the way, has daddy issues. As we know, her father kind of doesn't really want to have her in his life from what we watch play out in past seasons. And Michael literally looks like her father. Like, as we know, she's a mixed person. Her father is a white man who's older. Michael's a white man who's older. So that makes a lot of sense. And also he has money. So it's kind of like she has a blind loyalty to him. That's the only way I can explain it. Like, I don't know, Ashley. But anyway, she's a Gemini Sun, Aries Moon, which makes a lot of sense. In her arguments with the other ladies, I noticed she has a tendency to just kind of like get very slick at the mouth very quick and get very upset. Cue the Aries Moon. She just like kind of blows up out of nowhere. That's where her Aries Moon comes in. She's probably someone who speaks her mind openly, as we can tell on the show, but in her personal life as well. She's very smart and adaptable. She's someone who takes advantage of all opportunities presented to her, which is a good way to be, but that makes me think of her relationship with Michael. Not saying it's not at all genuine, but I'm willing to bet she saw that as an opportunity and took advantage of it. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, she's someone who wants the best out of life, which you should be. And you really can't fault her for that, I guess. So yeah, congratulations to her. Anyway, moving on to Robin. Robin and Juan are considering buying a new house together for themselves and their children, of course. And Robin kind of puts that idea on pause, and she's like, well, wait a minute. If we're going to buy a house together, then what's going on with marriage? Because as you know, they have their whole complicated history of they were married, they got divorced because he cheated, but they remained together in the same house because of their children. And now I guess they've just kind of been rebuilding their relationship, rebuilding their life because they had financial issues as well. So it's good to see that they're in a better place, but it's also good to see that Juan is receptive to the idea of them getting married again, and he actually, plans on proposing to her. That's excellent. So I'm really happy to see they're in a better place. So Robin is an Aries Sun, Taurus Moon, which makes a lot of sense because I knew she was an Aries, but she just doesn't give me Aries vibes. So the Earth Moon, which Earth signs are very like down to earth, more relaxed, more stable. That makes a lot of sense. So that's her emotional nature. Yeah, like I said, she doesn't come off aggressively like a typical Aries. So her Taurus Moon makes her very polite and likable. She can be somewhat of a diplomat, which we've seen her be on the show. She likes to be in control, but she won't ever come off as domineering. She definitely always balances herself out with that Taurus Moon. She believes in herself and what she can accomplish, which explains how they were able to rebuild from losing everything and having that house go into foreclosure to where they are now. Like, that's great. I mean, I'm really, really happy for them. But anyway, moving on to Juan Dixon. He, by the way, is a Libra Sun Capricorn Moon, which explains why they get along so well. They both have their moons in an earth sign, and their suns are an opposing sign, which means, like, for instance, her sun is in Aries, his sun is in Libra, so they kind of have what the other one is missing and they balance each other out. And just, I didn't plan to say this, but with the Capricorn moon, that kind of explains Juan Dixon and his relationship with his mother, because as you know, Capricorn moons and their mothers, there's always some sort of like distance. It can be emotional distance, it can be physical distance. And as we saw in past seasons, his mother died when he was younger. So that kind of explains that a little bit. I don't want to go too much into that, but anyway, moving on to the next scene, they show Candace and Giselle meeting up to pick desserts for Candace's anniversary party. They discuss Jamal. Giselle seems kind of defensive for no reason. And then they cut to all of the ladies' confessionals of them just all kind of expressing like, oh, I didn't think she would do that. Like, why would she do that? I don't know. So, I don't know. I'm kind of confused as well, but that's Giselle's business. She has to live her life and follow her heart. So, hey, I wish them the best of luck. So, anyway, Candace mentions that she's not inviting Ashley to her party, and I completely agree with her decision, because I feel like in the past Ashley has been able to dish it when it comes to Candace, but she hasn't been able to take it. So Ashley says what she feels like saying to Candace, but when Candace responds in admittedly not such a nice way, Ashley just plays the victim, and for some reason the girls always take Ashley's side. I don't understand. Maybe it's because Candace comes off as being a little bit immature. I don't know. So, anyway. To be fair, I do feel like Candace did a lot on Twitter. She did. But Ashley said a lot about people as well. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is, you know? Like, when you do something to somebody, you can't tell them how to respond to you. So, moving on from that, Giselle tells Candace that she doesn't appreciate some comments that she's made about her new house, and Candace responds with the fact that Giselle has also made comments about her home search, and they cue to video footage of Giselle and Robin laughing at Candace for looking at a $2.5 million house. And as we know, Candace's mother also had a conversation with Giselle about it, basically saying some not so nice things about her daughter Candace, which is crazy to me. But anyway, I think they're both wrong. Giselle can dish it, like I said about Ashley, but she kind of sometimes can't take it. I don't think she realizes when she says stuff how harsh her comments can come off. So, like I said, you can't say something and then tell somebody how to respond. Like, that's just not how it works. However, Candace has a tendency to be a little bit tit for tat. So when you come for her, she's gonna try to like bring down the house and say the worst thing she can, like Giselle said. So she could stand to take the high road a time or two, but I understand if somebody says something about you not wanting to. But because she's on TV, I would suggest it just a few times, just a few. So they cue the next scene. Monique and Ashley are having a play date. I don't really have much about that. Ashley mentioned Candace didn't congratulate her on the birth of her son, which, why would she? I mean, yes, again, that would be the mature thing to do, but if you're not getting along with somebody, why do you expect anything from them? Especially the way it ended off with your husband, the way he was talking to her and her husband last season, and you guys have almost gotten into like a physical altercation. Why would you expect that? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. So next scene, that's all I really have for Ashley and Monique. I don't really, whatever. So finally we get to Candace and Chris's wedding anniversary party. Karen kind of throws a little bit of shade when she gets there to the new housewife that they've kind of introduced her, but like not totally, Wendy Osefo. She says that she's not impressed by her, which it sounds like a little bit of hate, and I'm surprised that's coming from Karen, because I don't feel like she typically says things that are from like a petty place. But Wendy's a doctor with a PhD and a Johns Hopkins professor and a political commentator and. So, I mean, I'm impressed by her. But I guess we'll see the reason behind why Karen said that later this season. So I guess we'll just have to stay tuned for that. So in the next scene, Candace takes Giselle and Karen outside to kind of smooth things over with Giselle after their heated conversation. And Giselle thinks that she's owed an apology, which they could apologize to each other, but I really don't think that it's one-sided. And she also says that Candace should apologize to Ashley. Now, I hate the way that they take Ashley's side in everything, especially when Ashley is a grown-ass woman. Ashley's not a little girl who needs defending, and Ashley has done her own stuff. So, I mean, you don't have to tell somebody when they should apologize to Ashley. Like, you're not her defender. I don't understand that. Monique does that same thing, and it drives me crazy. I can't stand it. Oh my God. It's like honestly she has some sort of spell over Monique and Giselle. I don't get it. Even Robin doesn't really like do this. I mean, I know her and Ashley are friends, but she doesn't really like blindly follow behind her like Giselle and Monique do. I don't know what that's about, but we'll see that play out. I'm sure they'll do more. So next, the girls question Giselle about Jamal Bryant, and of course she gets defensive again. I think she's defensive because she knows how crazy it looks to be dating the man that had a baby on her while being a pastor. But that's her business to follow her heart or not. I hope it works out for her. I really, really do. So next they show Monique kind of avoiding Charisse at the party because, as we know, Candace has invited Charisse to the party. Monique and Charisse started out as friends. Then they got into an argument where Charisse kind of distanced herself from Monique because she said that she felt like Monique was using her, like I mentioned earlier in the video. So then it comes out that they say Charisse was spreading rumors about Monique, but I think it's true because Charisse is a Cancer. Now, Cancers are very vindictive, meaning if you do something to them, they're going to get back at you in whatever way they feel appropriate. And there's no limit to it. Like, they will do whatever to get back at you. But I don't necessarily think that they are liars. So I do believe what Charisse is saying about Monique. I don't think she's lying. Now, what she is saying is that Monique was basically kind of too close to her trainer or having an affair with her trainer, and her husband found out. And I guess she's been talking about it now that they're not friends anymore, and Monique just wants nothing to do with her. So you will see how that plays out as well as the season goes on. Next, the episode concludes with Karen and Candace's mother, Dorothy, giving marital advice on the mic at their party. Karen takes the mic to talk about herself and her marital problems with Ray, and that to me was just an admission before something serious happens. So she probably sees this heading toward divorce or something serious, like them living separately or something like that. Because again, she is very methodical, so that means everything that she does, she's doing it for a reason. So next, Candace's mother gets on the mic and thanks Chris for having sex with her daughter, which, I mean, what? Please get her off the show. Like, she's just a hot mess. And she's supposed to be some sort of, like, therapist or psychiatrist. Like, she's just a hot mess. I don't know. She acts up, and I really can't take it. So, anyway, I guess we'll see what happens on season 2 and what happens during the rest of the season. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back with another video soon.